Good afternoon. Welcome to this edition of the 411 Talk Zone radio show. My name is Leon Jones. This afternoon's topic: men settle and cosign for women they complain about. Men settle and cosign for the very women they complain about. Now, what am I saying? Because it seems to me that the pool of men, when it comes to the dating scene, are thirsty men. And what do thirsty men do? Thirsty men settle, and they settle for just about anything. Now, when I do videos on a whole demographic, not just blacks, but I do them on whites, Latinos as well. Why? Because I live in an area that is very, very mixed. I live in Portage, Indiana. And around Portage, Indiana, you have Porter, you have Chesterton, you have Valparaiso. And the other brothers, when they do videos, they basically utilize black women because they come from an urban area. But going back to what I am saying, the reason why women don't change their behavior is because guys allow it. And of course, you have a number of women who have come from bad backgrounds, and that includes meeting the wrong types of guys. Now, there are a number of guys that I've heard who talked about the weave, the bad attitudes, the baby's mamas. But men who are talking about these very types of women, they keep getting these very types of women. Now, why is that? Because a number of men, when it comes to dating, they'll settle for anything to get sex. Men don't want to hear this, but a number of us complain about the single mothers. A number of us complain about the bottom of the barrel women. A number of us complain about the welfare women, but we end up with them. And we end up with them because we're comfortable. We're immune to the weave, the bad attitudes, and the tattoos. We are accustomed to the piercings, the colored hair. This is men all across the spectrum, whether you're black, white, Hispanic. So the question is, men, why do you complain? You say there are no good women out there. But from your perspective, there are no good women out there to you because you keep picking the same types of women that you complain about. And when you are doing that, you're allowing yourself to co-sign for their behavior. And this is why a number of the women that you are choosing will not change. Now, Brother Guy King did a video, and it was a very good video. It sounded sarcastic, but it had a lot of truth to it. When it comes to African American women, to be a black man, you have to be a simp to deal with a number of African American women of today. Why? Because black men especially have been accustomed to dealing with bad women. And the women that they deal with, they talk about them on a constant basis. But they fail to do anything about getting better women. I'm not making this video about men because it is us who have also played a part into the dysfunction of women. You have women out there today who are trying to be like men. They want to have relationships that involve sex without emotion. It doesn't work that way for women. Women are very emotional. But going back to men, Men, what you have to understand is when it comes to women, you have to have standards. You have to tell yourself that you matter. Nobody else is going to validate you. Certainly, we talk about the church women, the single moms out there. But I'm going to tell you something. When I walk out here every day, I see single moms with men. And they know how to attract men because men will chase them. It's not the single mom's fault. But she has allowed herself to have options based on men co-signing whatever she does. And when it comes to dating in general, dating is basically legal prostitution because what we are paying for when we go out with a woman is her time, because at the end of the night, we want sex from a woman. This is why we have no standards as men. And when that continues to occur, you can't expect women to change their behavior. Why? Because they don't have to change their behavior, no matter how much we complain. It's too many thirsty men who complain about the very women that they're constantly dating. On YouTube, I heard enough about weave. Well, on the surface, a lot of brothers hate weave. But it's not the surface that I look at, it's going beneath the surface. Because brothers are so hard up for anything, they don't care about your weave. The brothers don't even care about you having children. This is why when I've done videos about dating single mothers out there, you shouldn't have a worry in your bone because you're going to be chased. Your church women who are single mothers as well. There are going to be enough thirsty guys who are going to be after you. Now, you might not want those guys, but what I'm telling you is with the dating pool of women in that category as single moms and church or Christian women, the pool of men for you is going to continue to increase. Why? Because a number of men out here are simps, manginas, they're white knights, and they're eunuchs. And men don't have standards. And I don't care how many videos I produce about having standards. The only person who can change his mind is that individual man. That's why I'm telling men out here, stop complaining about the women that you are chasing when you know about their background already. If the woman has a bunch of children and you still date her, that's not her fault, that's your fault. And no, you don't have to co-sign with the bad behavior, but men do, because you're comfortable with it. It's easy. And it's not just black women. I see it with the white women as well. In fact, the only difference between a white woman and a black woman is black women do wear the weave, white women don't. But for the most part, they wear their wild colored hair. You have some of them who are fat and flat as well. And these types of women, they have men. And I live in a neighborhood, like I said, Portage, Indiana. I'm not going to call it a neighborhood. It's a medium-sized city of about 34,000 people. And when I go out, I see all types of men with undesirable women. Now, are those women making those men happy? I don't know. But I hear enough men complaining about the bad women giving them attitude, but men keep dating these women. Is it that there are no other women out there? No, I don't believe that. Can men do better with dating? Certainly. Men are afraid to do better when it comes to women because men, number one, look at a woman as a sex object. They're looking for the sex all the time. They don't look for the qualities in a woman. That's why they'll never do better. They're afraid that they're going to lose another notch on their belt. And this is why men have co-signed for the feminist movement, particularly the politicians, because men have always had a fear of women not giving them the sex when they want it. In fact, most of the sex that men get anyway is shut up sex. It's enough to keep them quiet while she gets her way. Women use sex as a manipulation, and men know it. But we keep falling for the game all the time. Now, do you think these guys out here who think they have game aren't spending money on women? Absolutely, because a true gamer doesn't have to spend any money on a woman. He can be himself. He doesn't have to change for her. But the way dating is, men are the ones who always have to change to suit her. And this is why it looks like women dictate the relationship. See, women do have standards, although they're picking poor men and appropriating with them, and that is in all communities. But at least when I look at women, they have come to terms with some standards, albeit they're not realistic standards because of who they are. But at the end of the day, you can be the most unattractive woman and there's always going to be a piece of dick waiting for you. And women know that. This is why women can have a multitude of men, and they keep a number of men in the friend zone. Women don't have to settle because they are always going to have a man as a friend everywhere they go. And all a woman has to do is look halfway decent. Women don't have to go all the way like they used to beautify themselves because of social media as well. You look at how many Instagram photos of women on that social site, and you look at the men who are commenting. A number of men are very thirsty men. And this is why men have to have standards. When you complain about the women, but you're still dating them, you have to look at yourself. Now, I know men of today, many of them have come from a household that has had nothing but women heading the household. So a number of men don't understand what it is to be a man because they are always filled with propaganda that they get from their mothers. Their mothers always teach them not about the real world, but their world. And this is what goes on with the daughters as well. Mothers do not teach their daughters about the real world. They teach them about their world, and usually when it comes to sons and daughters who have come from woman or women-headed households, they emulate that behavior. They're loud, obnoxious, savage, have a savage behavior. They can be violent, and they're extremely emotional and combative. And they get that from their mothers. Now, again, I am not talking about black women. I'm talking about women of all races here in the West. Because we blame feminism for a lot of what's going on. Yes, feminism is part to blame. But guys, if you know that woman has weave, tattoos, bad attitude, and a bunch of babies, and you're dating them, why are you complaining? And you know that way. So what you have to do as men, you have to get to know yourselves. You have to get to know your worth. I mean, when Guy King made that video, he hit the nail on the head. When it comes to a woman, a man has to accept her behavior, but she doesn't have to accept your behavior. A man, to be a good man, you have to accept that she has kids, but she doesn't have to accept you have kids. Men have to accept her being overweight, but she doesn't have to accept him being overweight. Men have to accept her selfish and unrealistic standards, whereas women don't have to accept anything about a man. The man has to be there to covet her. That is totally false. The reason why that is happening is because we are doing it for the simple fact that, number one, men have a low self-esteem when it comes to themselves. They're afraid to be men. They're afraid that if they disappoint that woman, they're not going to get sex. And the reason why you have a lot of thirsty men out here is that is what they want from a woman. Everything revolves around sex. Even your politicians, it's about sex. And if you have to go so far to lower your standards to get sex from a woman, well, as a man, you just ruin dating as a whole. You give women the upper hand. And no matter how attractive or unattractive a woman gets, she's going to have plenty of simps, white knights, eunuchs, and, of course, men who are desperate for them. And they're going to get these men. And what you have done to these women, men, who I'm talking about, the simps, the white knights, the eunuchs, you have elevated them, even if they're not attractive, even if they are churchgoers, single moms, career-minded women, college-educated women. You've elevated their spirits. So they think they can have any man they want as well. And generally, they do get a number of men because they know how to attract men. All they have to do is dress sexy. A woman could put on a wig, no matter how we talk about it, they're going to be men after her. You look at the women on YouTube. Women on YouTube don't have to make good content at all. All they have to do is look beautiful. Now, there was one up here by the name of Cynthia G. I don't care what any guy says about her weave and her makeup. See, guys will talk about it, but there would be guys out there that would fuck her no matter what. And there are guys on her page who are telling her how beautiful she is. That's all a woman has to do, is utilize her biggest asset to attract a man. That's her body. And men will fall for the bait every time. Because there are going to be times that women have no intent on even giving a man any sex, but she's going to manipulate a man into giving her his resources with the idea that he's going to get sex. And what's going to happen, he's going to find out that that woman really isn't interested in him. She's just using him. And when you don't have standards, men, you will fall for anything. That's why co-signing for the behavior gets her off the hook. And with men, because they settle and co-sign, they don't demand anything out of a woman. And she believes that she doesn't have to bring anything to the table. And when that woman has that kind of confidence that she doesn't have to bring anything to the table, she thinks she can manipulate all guys. And believe it or not, it doesn't take a rocket science to figure this out. Men allow themselves to be controlled by their penises. And that's what is happening. And if you don't believe me, you go out and you look at the amount of men who have women that are constantly screaming at them, disrespecting them. And I'm not talking about black women. I'm talking about women all over. Men will sit up there and take the abuse for what? So he can have sex with her. And when you don't have standards, guys, you end up losing out when it comes to dating. Now, of course, with Guy King, and shout out to brother Guy King, and shout out to brother Matt Coley, shout out to brother Arlo Monk, shout out to Black Ram 313, shout out to the Negro Ninja. You have some Ibmore and some MGTOW and Red Pill brothers who understand the philosophy of dating. Shout out to Alan Roger Curry. In fact, I believe people should get Alan Roger Curry's book, If You're a Man, and read it because he is very aggressive with women. He tells women not what they want to hear, he tells women what he wants. And that's what men need to do when it comes to women. Certainly, you're going to take some rejection, but just playing her game is going to cause you to lose a lot of your resources. And part of those resources are your sanity. Now, I've done many videos on mental health issues, and this is why you have a number of men who are depressed. And I've never heard of 21, 22-year-old men being oppressed, but there are a number of them because of dating. They have gone into anxiety, stress, and depression. These guys are young, and this should be the age to where they need to get themselves together and not worry about women. Now, I got my rules for smashing and dashing coming up. I'm going to finish writing a few more rules. And guys, this is what's going to put you at the forefront. You got to know who you are. And you got to accept who you are. All of us guys aren't beautiful. All of us guys aren't ugly. But the bottom line, guys young and old, we got to stop co-signing for the nonsense when it comes to relationships. This is why it seems to me that there's a double standard in relationships. Why? Because we don't expect anything out of a woman. And we are looking for sex and only sex. Now that is fine, but I always say play at your own risk. But in the long run, you're not able to build a healthy relationship with a woman by just seeking sex. See, once the novelty goes away, after a certain amount of time of having sex with this woman, then you're going to find out the real qualities. The truth is starting to surface. And when that happens, you're not going to want to be with her because what you are seeing is the real person. See, in the beginning of a relationship, men and women do not show their true colors because they're trying to appease the other party so they won't leave. But when that comfortability sets in, and that happens over time, then you see the real personality. And you'll find out that you don't want to be with that person to begin with. Now, this is a lack of having standards. So, when you're out there dating, guys, the women that you don't want, pick better. Because what it is with most guys, they're complaining about the same types of women, but they're still dating them. And all you're doing with these women, you're causing them to play games with not just you, but other men as well. It's not their fault. And yes, women are very irresistible when they're very feminine. But let's just be honest, guys, particularly you brothers out there, you don't care about the weave, you don't care about the wigs. All you want to do is smash these women. And they know it. That's why you don't have standards. See, people who have standards aren't going to tolerate the weave, the tattoos and the bad attitudes and the colored hair and a bunch of babies running amok, bunch of meth heads. Because I've seen white guys with fat black women and fat white women. So it's just not the brothers dating the scraps out here. It's the white boys and the Hispanic boys. All of them are dating bottom of the barrel women. Why? Because men in general don't have any courage. Today's men are weak. And they've allowed themselves to be weak. And this is why men need to be around positive men like myself who can teach them about being a man. See, I'm like the dad and the brother you never had because I'm going to give you the raw truth about being a man. And being a man, you got to take responsibility for your actions. If you allow yourself to date women you don't want and you're complaining about it later, I can't help you. Why? Because you're your own demise. And that's what's wrong with men. Men screw themselves in the long run. when you know that the woman takes positions that you don't agree with and you date her, well, you're committing your own atrocity, your own self-inflicted wound. So what I'm telling every man out there, no, a woman is not God, a woman is not a princess. If you want to avoid cosigning her bullshit, learn to value yourself. And if she doesn't value you, just don't deal with her. Use your common sense, because it is your life. And a number of women out here, they're just wasting time. They're petulant children. And if you argue back and forth with them, you're going to lose anyway, because you're going to get emotional. And just because a woman gives you sex, it doesn't mean that she cares about you. A lot of sex is manipulative sex so she can get what she wants, and women are very good at that. So what I'm trying to tell you guys is be smarter and have standards. Because when you co-sign for her ratchet behavior, you're already telling her she doesn't have to change. And when she gets immune to being comfortable, she's not going to change. And what's going to happen? You're going to continue to complain about women being ratchet, disrespectful, and undesirable. So when it comes to the dating scene, a good man knows his worth. He knows what he wants out of life. He knows what he wants out of a woman. A good man is not going to accept everything. But thirsty men will accept anything and everything to get sex. It's just like I always said. Most thirsty men will do anything to avoid her teardrops and tantrums, but they will do anything to get sex. If you are one of those men who are simping, you're a white knight, you're a eunuch and mangina, you need to watch this video. Also, you need to look at the previous videos I did on my 54 rules of dating. And once you comprehend those rules, it will help you pick better women. Because guys, you're not doing yourself any dissidence by complaining about women to whom you know who are bad. And it's a vicious cycle. Get out of the comfort zone and get educated about dating. Now, if you're just there to smash and dash, of course, there are rules for that, but I advise you to do that at your own risk. So remember, guys, we have to look at ourselves when it comes to dating women. The very women that we complain about, we keep choosing. Why? Because we lack confidence when it comes to women. Even your pimps and players, they spend money on women. They're not true gamers. A true gamer knows who he is. He's very confident. He doesn't have to spend any money on a woman, but he gets women. And if you look at all these guys around who have a lot of women, they're paying for those women. Dating is basically legal prostitution. It's her body for your resources. And to get out of that, men and women, women, you got to respect yourselves. Men, you got to respect yourselves. Men, don't co-sign for the nonsense. And once you get out of that comfortability of doing that, you look at my rules of dating, you'll be more confident in picking a woman. Women aren't complicated. But we complicate the situation by complaining about the very women we know are bad, and we know we don't want them, but we settle for them. And we settle for them because we lack manhood. And I'm going to tell you, men, open your eyes and understand that you can date better. The onus is on you to do it, though. But at the end of the day, there's still good women out here. But men, before you get those good women, you need to know who you are. And that's my commentary for this edition of the 411 Talk Zone radio show for this afternoon, Friday, September 29th, 2017. You can tune into the 411 Talk Zone radio show every Saturday from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. on Blog Talk Radio. Guest calling number is 215-383-5785. If you like my videos, please share and subscribe to the 411 Talk Zone radio show right here on YouTube so I can continue to give you quality information for educational purposes from a professional and mature perspective. Now on this channel, I don't engage in debates, controversy, or emotional issues, and that just depends on how the person is taking the information that I am presenting. Nor do I participate in drama and or unnecessary bickering because it is counterproductive. What I'm here to do on my channel is give you information from a realistic but positive perspective. And if you don't understand how this dating works, you're always going to be miserable and you're going to co-sign for the nonsense. And at the end of the day, it's not her fault that you're picking her. It's your fault that you're picking her based on the lack of information. So do yourselves information, fellas. Educate yourself on the rules of dating. Watch my 3 videos on the rules of dating, and you'll be able to help yourself. It's a guide to help you pick better women. Because when you have knowledge, you have power. And the information I'm giving you is research, and I'm giving you my own personal perspective. But what you're going to get out of the information that I am delivering is positivity and reality. Again, if you don't understand how the real world works, you will be lost. And what I'm trying to do is what I am doing is keeping you informed about what's going on out here. And if you have a business or a topic or a new YouTube channel, please email me at lej6521@gmail.com. And if you have a comment, please leave your comment in the comment section under the video. But make sure that your comments are pithy. No bloviating, pettifogging, or filibustering if you wish to opine. Now that's it for this video. Till next time, my name is Leon Jones. Remember, please be gentle and respectful to each other and have a wonderful and blessed day.